Hey guys, welcome to the Killing the Tea podcast. This is Gare,
And Kate.
and we are going to be discussing all things chills, thrills, and kills. Kate and I are going to be talking about our favorite books, TV shows, and movies that are in the thriller or crime fiction genre, as well as some reading habits and other items related to how we met on Bookstagram that will fit in with this podcast. So, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you have fun and get totally terrified.
I
Okay.
feel like we haven't recorded just us together in a while, but like it can't have been that long.
It's been 2 weeks,
Yeah, it just feels long.
but that's long for us. Are you
That's
fucking
true.
kidding me? I hate everything about today. Um, okay, so they gave up. Good. Okay, so I have an icebreaker.
Oh yeah, I'm
Um,
excited.
so I keep seeing this TikTok, which reminds me of me, naturally. Um, and it's have you seen the TikTok of Kiki Palmer?
Like her reaction to
It's
I
her
don't
talking
know.
about
I've seen a lot of Kiki Palmer lately.
it's her favorite swear word.
I don't know.
So basically she says it's motherfucker, which is my favorite swear word.
Yes.
Be-
Yep.
because she's like, you can say it like funny, you can say it like mad, you can say it like her, like,
Yes.
and she does like this great Angela Bassett impression. But I wanted to know because I agree with Kiki, like motherfucker or fuck, like any form of fuck, like
Yeah.
fucker, motherfucker, fucking a, fuck, like all
Yep.
of them. So I just
Mhm.
want to know what's your favorite like curse word, like what's your go-to when you like stub your toe or when you're having a day. I don't know if you've had one of these recently, but like when you're having a day that like nothing just seems to be going right for you.
Yeah, I don't know if I've had one recently. I mean, I go to fuck. Fuck is like, if I stub my toe, I'm like, fuck.
Yes.
And I love motherfucker. I love how it can be motherfucking. Like, it's an adjective, it's an adverb, it's a verb, it's a noun, it's everything.
Yes, I agree.
What else? There's really that one. Yeah, because like I say WTF a lot too, like in texts, and Tyler and I have general reactions of like if something's weird, we're like, the fuck? So there's a
I
lot of
just
fuck
find
in my
like
life.
the disbelief of being like, are you fucking kidding me? Which people
Yes.
probably hear me say a lot.
Yeah. I
Because
think it
that
in my
just
head a
seems to
lot.
be my go-to.
I cannot get my throat clear, so I'm
I
sorry if I
know.
sound gravelly this whole time.
That's okay. Um, my dad, my dad just got home and he's like confused as to what's going on. Motherfucker is mine.
Motherfucker. Yeah. It's a good
I
one.
wish I could do as good of a job as Kiki Palmer.
I know. She's great.
If
I've
I
seen
woke
like a
up
couple
like,
of her audios going viral. She has one where she's talking about some Taylor Swift song. I can't remember which one. And it's like going viral too.
oh, Taylor.
Oh, Taylor.
Speaking of
Kiki's.
Taylor,
Speaking of Taylor, we had a listener tag us in something
mhm.
that's very Taylor related.
Yes, it's
Um,
something I always think of. So on Instagram,
yep.
Carla, no, I'm
Kara.
sorry, Kara TBR list.
Yes.
I need to make an eye appointment and a dentist
Yeah.
appointment, and I need to renew all my prescriptions. I'm a mess. Kara TBR list on Instagram was watching the new season of Cruel Summer and decided to tag us in a post last night and say like, hey, you guys should recommend books for people who like Cruel Summer.
Yeah. Which
And
is like
we
such a
immediately
great
were on it.
idea.
Like both of
Yeah.
us were like, this
We're
is
obsessed with that show.
so good. Did you start the
We've
second season?
no,
Oh, you
I will
haven't?
not until they've all aired. I
Oh,
just
that's
won't.
right. You did text me that. You did text me
I
that.
just won't. It's okay.
I started it last night. It's good.
How was the first, no, did you like it? I don't know why I'm short circuiting.
Um I did like it. My thing is, I don't remember the first season if it had two
Mhm.
timelines or three.
It's a good question.
This one has three.
But there were definitely only two at the beginning of the first one.
Yeah. So like I was like, this is a lot. Like it has three
Yeah.
timelines. I was like, I'm kind of
Nice.
confused as to what's going on because it's like a minute per timeline kind of thing. Maybe not exactly a minute, but it just feels
Mm,
like it.
yeah.
So like the minute you get like feel as to one timeline, it's jumping in all these other different directions. But I recommend, even if like people are like, I don't know if I'm into this, give it at least until the end of the first episode.
Oh
And
yeah.
then you kind of find out what's going on and it gets really juicy.
Messy.
Messy, juicy, dramatic. The music is on point because it's like, I believe 1999 in the year 2000.
Oh, that is so cool.
Spice
I can't
Girls,
wait to start it.
it's so good. So, but I'm loving it. But every time people mention Cruel Summer, I'm like thinking of Taylor. Cruel
Are you
Summer.
thinking of
I'm drunk in the back of the car. I'm crying like a baby coming home from the bar.
yes.
Um,
I was listening to it. I had to take my dog for a ride so that he would let me do this podcast. And I listened to it the whole way. And I was like, only good vibes, dogs. It's a cruel summer night. And
well,
so far it worked.
yeah. Well, speaking of Cruel Summer, I saw a TikTok last night of these three men. I believe they were gay men, but if they weren't,
They just didn't
sorry.
know.
Yeah, I know something you don't know. The next single by Taylor Swift is called I Know Something You Don't Know.
Probably.
I imagine.
The way things are
Um,
going right now.
yeah, the way my reveals are coming in. But they were sitting around a table and they were talking about the lyric, he looks up grinning like the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, Taylor, that is not very PG. Like, that's a very steamy lyric.
It's very watermelon sugar.
I never in my entire life thought that's what that meant.
Did you think she said something else, or did you just not think that's what it meant?
I was definitely the team, somebody
Pretty.
saying, like, he looks so pretty like the devil or like a
Yes.
devil or something like that.
Yes.
But when it was like, he looks up grinning like the devil, I guess I was just like so focused on the fact that I had the lyrics wrong that I like
Right.
never really thought of it. Or I was like, maybe he's just like
Uh-huh.
looking up at the moon, like,
Mhm.
when like a man like looks up and you see like the
Yeah.
chin and you see like
Yeah.
the nice like defining jawline, like maybe that's what she
Yeah.
meant. But then I realized that it is not a PG song.
Kind of looking up from something else.
Yeah,
Well, and the other thing
which
is, go
I
ahead.
wouldn't know what that's like
True.
to have a man looking up from that area grinning, or to be a
That's true.
man looking up from that area grinning.
You have a fair reason to be confused then.
I've been near one of those in my entire life, and it was when I was born, and I was colic for 6 weeks after, so I have not seen one since because all I did was
You're like, I'm
cry.
never going near that
I
again.
never that traumatized.
Sworn off.
That is like my favorite story. Like when I was born, the hospital was relatively empty because I was born on Memorial Day weekend.
Hmm.
So my mom was recuperating in her hospital bed and the nurse came in, and when the nurse opened the door, she could hear this baby screaming from the top of its lungs from like the nursery.
Oh my God.
And she was
You're a
like,
mad baby.
she looked at the nurse and she was like, oh my God, whose baby is crying like that? And the nurse was like, oh honey, that's your baby.
That's yours.
That would be yours, your baby in there waking up all the other babies just screaming
Uh-huh.
like a psycho. I
Yeah.
was 11 days late and they had to induce labor.
Ooh.
Like she was just like, I just don't think you were ever going to come out, like I just think that you were like, then you
You're like,
did
I'm not
come
ready for
out.
the world.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not ready, I'm 11 days late, I'm
Yeah.
not ready for the world. I don't know how long I
Yeah.
would have been if we let things go naturally. And
Right.
Kathy was like, you came out pissed.
There you go.
Like, you
So
see
yeah, you were
those.
not gonna know that a man would look up grinning like a devil.
No, because
I
I
will
was
say
not
so
grinning like a devil.
interestingly enough, this is one of those songs that some people think that song's actually about Carly, and that she uses he pronouns because she's not ready to say it was about Carly. And then plenty of people think it's about Joe. So then the other point is that if it's about Joe, he's also he's really tall. He's like 3 inches taller than her. And so they were all, that was like, I've seen like people dissecting that too. Like when people are like, maybe it just means he's looking up at her. And they're like, nobody looks like nobody taller than Taylor Swift is looking up at her. And I was like,
Right.
no shit, you're right. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I had no clue, as anyone who's been listening, since I had like a gap in my fandom, I didn't know that she got close to like R-rated in like, because Reputation dress is similarly provocative. And what's the other, False God on Lover is just like
I love
horny.
False
It's just
God.
a horny song. And I was like, I didn't know.
I'm like,
I
I
was having
love
the
that song.
same reaction. I'm
Yeah.
like, I didn't know this about you, Taylor.
I went to the Reputation era tour with my friend.
Oh, I'm so
Um,
jealous.
and I loved False God, and he was like, they're not going to play that. Like, she's not going to
Uh-huh.
perform it, like, whatever. And I was
Uh-huh.
literally like that meme. You know how they have the meme
Mhm.
of the girl like crying at the end of the concert and like still sitting there and
Yes.
everyone's left and she's like, I'm waiting for her to sing like whatever. That was me
Yes.
with False God.
I believe it.
Yeah.
It's so good. Her performance on SNL of that is like so good.
Oh, I know. With like the what is it, like the candles or like the lights
Yeah, it's
all
different
around
lighting, and she's wearing like
a suit,
a masculine's, yeah, kind of like a very boxy.
80s suit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some people also say it's a very top energy suit, was what I was debating saying.
Oh my God. You're like
There's so
so
many
up on the up
theories.
and up with like queer news and queer theories more than me. I am the worst gay ever.
Well, let's be fair, I really am only knowing this about Taylor because it's Era's tour has taken over my TikTok. But on this subject, yeah, the comparisons to Evelyn Hugo are pretty cool. That's the other
That's
thing.
also
That's
true.
what happened. I had a crossover of like Taylor Swift and Book Talk and like Evelyn Hugo. And now my TikTok is like, you like Evelyn Hugo, you like Taylor Swift. Here's everything to know about Taylor Swift and why she's like Evelyn Hugo. So my
That's
like special interests are bouncing back and forth off each other.
Do you know what I just thought of?
What?
Do you remember when there was the rumor that there was the huge memoir or autobiography
Yes. Mm-hmm.
that's supposed to be what, July 9th from Flatiron?
Yes, I think so.
I'm surprised that
It
nobody else
was,
is talking about that anymore.
I know. That's funny because I thought about it, I think last week. I was like listening to something and it made me think of it. But I think what happened, there was that like her publicist, or I think her publicist, her
Mhm.
PR team, whatever, was like, no, this is not Taylor's. Like they came out and said it. And then I think everyone stopped talking about it. You're right. Cause I was like, wait, we never really found out who it was yet either.
I want to know if it's actually coming out or if it was just like something weird that had
Yeah, was it
happened,
like a glitch?
but it's very strange.
Yeah. I know. That's gonna be interesting to see if it does, if
Could you
something does
imagine if
come.
it's like no shade to anyone, but
Yeah.
like a little shade? But like, could you imagine if it's something Neil Diamond?
Yeah.
Like
someone
everyone's like, who
someone
gives a
benefited
shit?
from like everyone pre-ordering that book.
Oh my God, I know. It's literally going to be like the same thing when like that iOS version came out and everyone had that U2 album.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yes. You're right.
They're going to
They
have
just
like
like
all these
they were
warehouses like
like,
full
you
of
will
his
have
books.
this and
Everyone's
you will
returning
like
it.
it. Yes. I don't even want it for free.
I know I pre-ordered this because I thought it was Taylor Swift. Another rumor I think was Britney, which I would also be
Yeah,
happy
I
with.
saw that one. I think that would be, I wish we could know. I don't think any of us know anything about what actually happens in her
I'm gonna
life,
be so
really.
pissed on July 9th when something doesn't come out or something
I
comes out and it
know.
fucking sucks.
I know.
Or it'll be like really
Wait,
shitty
you
too
had
if it's.
someone though who you were talking about who you wanted it to be, and you had a really good one.
I
This was
did.
a while ago when it was like when the news first broke. You said someone, and I was like, oh,
Brittany,
that would be awesome. I
Drew
can't remember.
Barrymore,
It was maybe it was Drew. Yeah, I think I think it was Drew.
Drew Barrymore, I'd buy.
That would be a good
Britney
one.
Spears, I'd buy. Taylor, I'd buy. I don't
Yeah, at this
know.
point, I would have to.
My whole thing with Taylor is just this whole like Ice Spice thing and how everybody's like brushed over it so quickly.
I
And it
know.
just still feels really weird to me.
I agree.
Like
The
the
timing is
remix with Ice
odd.
Spice comes out, and all of a sudden there's like 3 reports that like Taylor and Maddie Healy are no longer dating, and everybody's just like,
Yeah.
oh, back to praising.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
I will say, because I mostly agree with you. Only caveat, she holds hands with lots of people. So they might not have actually been dating, but he doesn't seem like the best guy to associate with anyway.
I think it's for me, it's an association thing anyway. It would be the same
Yeah.
thing if
Yeah.
Bella Hadid had said something like that and she was like
Right.
still part of Taylor's squad. But
Right.
I don't know. It's just very strange to me.
Yeah. It was messy.
Beyonce, I would buy Beyonce.
Yes. I think you might have said that one when we talked about it too.
She would be interesting. But Cruel Summer.
Cruel Summer.
Cruel Summer.
Ooh, oh, whoa.
It's cruel with you.
Everyone's like, cool, guys.
Everyone's like, okay, I'm hanging
Get
up.
to the
You
books.
guys, yeah, like get to your fucking strategy here. So I picked books for Cruel Summer, but I kind of went with, I think my theme. Did you do YA or did you do
I mean,
regular A?
somewhat. There's like college, early 20s, and then
Okay.
somewhat. I guess the answer is kind of somewhat, yeah.
Okay. Because I
No one's
thought
in their
like,
40s.
well, I didn't do any like YA books. Like I didn't do any young adult. Like for anyone under 18, basically, is what I'm saying. Like my books are pretty dark still.
Yeah, I think I might have one where, yeah, they're 15. One of the girls is 15. So I have one in that range. The
So
rest are not.
I didn't want to do like Karen McManus. You know what I mean? I didn't want to do like
Mhm.
just like books
I
about
know.
teenagers. So I
Yeah.
kind of what I did was, because I think that one of the things that I love and admire about the show is like the deceptive secrets that are very like intricately played out
Layered.
per episode, and
Yeah.
the different timelines. So a lot of mine deal with multiple timelines or something from somebody's past that comes back to haunt they ass.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I don't have anything prepared that's amazing. That is that amazing. But we were definitely thinking the same, because most of mine revolve around multiple timelines or distorted timelines and like multiple people's relationship dynamics
Yes.
becoming a problem.
Yes. Love it.
Cool. We were tracking.
I think you should kick it off.
Okay.
Because I am very,
Well,
very, very fucking excited to see what you came up with.
I know. I'm excited to see what you came up with. But my first one is All the Missing Girls by Megan Miranda. It's kind of a long synopsis, so I'm gonna try to sum it up as quickly as I can. But basically it's been 10 years since Nicolette left her rural hometown after her best friend Corinne disappeared. She goes back home to take care of her father, and she's like brought into some present drama that like brings up all of her stuff with Corinne going missing in the past. And so back when Corinne, her friend, went missing, the investigation was focused on Nicolette, her brother Daniel, her boyfriend Tyler, and Corinne's boyfriend Jackson. And basically none of them are really still in contact, but she goes back to take care of her dad and Tyler is dating someone named Annalise.
Fucking Tyler's. Gotta be careful of those.
Fucking Tyler's, and they're Annalise's, man.
God,
And
every time.
um, so and that this is intricate. There's just no way to make it fast. I'm like, I can shorten this. You just can't. So he's dating Annalise, who in the past was their younger neighbor and is also the group's alibi for the night that Corinne disappeared. So Nicolette goes back and then back to town to take care of her dad, and Annalise goes missing that same day. So past and present collide. They're trying to figure out how Annalise went missing. But the craziest part is that the book is told backwards from day 15 to day 1, and it works. It's so good. And it's such creative storytelling, but it's like you're finding out what happened when they were teens, but like it's taking place while they're adults.
It's so good. I love that book.
I like kind of wanted to reread it when I was looking at this because I read it in 2018. It was
I'll check
5
it out
years
again
ago.
with you.
Yeah, I loved it so much.
It's so
And I
good.
like that kind of story structure. So
I know. And I will say, if that's a very popular book with very, very high praise from people, like everybody who reads it basically loves it.
yeah.
So if you are intimidated by a book that is told backwards,
Yeah.
don't be, because things make sense. The pacing and
Yeah.
everything is still very structured like your standard novel. It's just a little
And Megan
backwards.
Miranda just is kind of good at that. She is good at like writing complex things, but like when you're reading it, it doesn't feel like you're having to like comprehend tons of stuff at once either.
Right.
She's really good at that.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a book that I've never talked about before on here,
That's exciting. I think I have one that I've never talked about.
by my Canadian queen, Chevy Stevens.
Ooh.
And I just remember this book being so like cinematic in my mind that I was like, oh my God, like this has to be a mini series, but it has, kind of like a Cruel Summer-esque vibe, in the sense of like the reason that I picked it is because it reminds me of how a character in the past is like very different from the present because of what happened to them.
Yeah.
So the book I'm recommending first is called That Night by Chevy Stevens. And it is about Toni Murphy, who had the best adolescent life. She had a boyfriend, a younger sister she couldn't relate to. Although she did have a strained relationship with her parents and classmates who seemed hell-bent on making her life miserable. So even though things weren't easy, Toni could have never predicted how horrific they would become. It's kind of like one of those things where oh my God,
That's
life
what happens
sucks.
in our books.
Life sucks. And like you're like, no, now it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
So her young sister is brutally murdered one summer night, and Toni and her boyfriend Ryan were convicted of the murder and sent to prison. Now, at the age of 34, Toni's out on parole and back in her hometown, struggling to adjust to a new life on the outside. Obviously, prison has changed her, and she's doing everything in her power to avoid violating her parole and going back, including having absolutely zero contact with Ryan. Avoiding fellow parolees looking to pick fights, and steering clear of trouble in any way, shape, or form. But nothing is making that easy, especially Ryan, who is convinced he can figure out the truth, not her mother, who doubts Toni's innocence, and certainly not the group of women who made Toni's life hell in high school, and may have darker secrets than anyone realizes. No matter how hard she tries, ignoring her old life to start a new one is impossible. Before Toni can truly move on, she must risk everything to find out what really happened that night. Bum, bum, bum.
That sounds really good.
It's so fucking good. Everything she does is incredible. I have loved every single book that she's written, but I just remember that one and the twist in the end and like the dual timeline. I was like, holy shit.
Oh, you're making me want to read it.
I would
didn't even know
love
about this one.
I think the perfect thing for you would be for the rest of your summer to catch up on your TBR, because if you were to binge Chevy Stevens books in
Mm-hmm.
like all of them back to back, it would just be such a good reading experience for like fall slash early winter.
Mm, yeah, that would be fun. Oh,
Like the
can't wait
minute
for
the
it to
weather
cool off.
dips. I know, I was thinking about you yesterday because I was like, the minute like the weather dips below like 60,
Yes,
Kate is going to be like just
maybe a better
organically
person.
caffeinated. Well, I was
Yeah.
thinking of you because they were saying that yesterday was the summer solstice. So
Mm-hmm.
beginning today, each day
It's
is
summer,
going to get
baby.
shorter and shorter.
Thank God, because
So
I am sick of it being bright at 9 o'clock.
as of today, June 22nd, the days are going to begin to get shorter and fall
Nice.
will arrive.
And all the pumpkin.
Oh my God, pumpkin, sweatshirts,
I know.
your
I
leggings.
literally waited to put a shirt on until we started so that I would not sweat. I had my hair up in a way that like wouldn't get creased, and I was just not wearing and just had fans on me.
It's been insane. It's been
Yeah, because
insane.
last week, with Riley Sager, just one of the maybe most popular episodes we've had, actually. I don't think I told you that.
Oh my God, that's exciting.
I know. And I just like, I was drenched in sweat, and you can like see my bangs sticking to the outside. I'm like, I mean, I knew this was going to happen, but did it have to happen this day? So I
That's so
like planned
funny.
ahead today.
We're gonna have like TV seasons when we just blow up and become super popular one day and like
Yeah.
only do author interviews from September to like April.
There you go.
Because Kate doesn't want to sweat. She's fine sweating with me, but not with anyone else.
I know. It's never ideal, but I was like, it would be on this day that like it was like dripping down my back as I was like, hey,
Yeah. Oh my God, everything's great.
hello, first time meeting you.
Happy summer.
Yeah, but it's okay. It was
Yeah.
it was about Riley anyway. So
Yeah.
I reminded myself, I was like, I'm barely on screen.
Also true.
But
Yeah.
I also have a book that I haven't talked about at all on the podcast because I was
Ooh.
just scrolling and scrolling through what I've read because I was just like, I just had time. That's what it is. So I was able to just keep scrolling through years of books. Because a
Do you
couple of them that I would consider like are my bonus or honorable mentions, there are a couple I've talked about so many times. So I was like, let's just see if
Mhm.
there are any other ones. Were you about to ask me something, or should I finally say this book that I'm heavily introing?
No, you go right ahead.
Okay. But it's called You Will Know Me by Megan Abbott. Um,
Ooh.
and so like it says it's not young adult, which is interesting, but it is very dark. So that might be part of it. But Katie and Eric Knox have dedicated their lives to their 15-year-old daughter, Devin, a gymnastics prodigy and Olympic hopeful. But when a violent death rocks their close-knit gymnastics community just weeks before an all-important competition, everything the Knoxes have worked so hard for feels suddenly at risk as rumors swirl among the other parents, revealing hidden plots and allegiances. Katie tries frantically to hold her family together while also finding herself drawn irresistibly to the crime itself and the dark corners it threatens to illuminate. So it's not YA because it's through the parents. That's what I read it a long time ago. So it is mostly told through the parents. And I just remember it being really dark
Mhm. Her
in
books
in
are really
regards to
dark.
like what was happening and how young they
Yeah.
were.
Her books are really dark.
They are, but like also like very twisty and yeah.
She's really good. She's a great storyteller. I love her.
I
I love
agree.
her.
And we haven't talked about really like any of hers is what I realized. I
Hmm.
still have a couple to read technically. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's
It's
a
a
new
good
one.
one. Hmm.
Crazy gymnastics, or not crazy, twisty, whatever. I'm losing the word that
Twisty
I want.
acrobats.
There we go.
Speaking of crazy acrobats, no, I'm just kidding. Could you
Ooh, that would
imagine?
be so perfect.
I would die. Um, no, I'm just gonna talk about. I mean, I've talked about this book before, so this will be like very
Yeah.
short and sweet. But um, The Night Shift by Alex Finlay. Um,
Mm,
such a good one.
yes.
I love this book, and it's so good for Cruel Summer because it has that dual timeline.
Yeah.
Um, so like New Year's Eve, 1999, basically a bunch of teens working at a Blockbuster Video in New Jersey, who are working the night shift, are attacked and only one survives. The police identify a suspect who basically takes off and is never seen again. And then 15 years later, in the same exact town, a bunch of teens working at a ice cream store, I believe,
Mhm.
are attacked, and only one makes it out alive. And the survivor from Blockbuster and the survivor from the ice cream store basically remember the killer saying to them, "Good night, pretty girl."
Mhm.
So it's fucking crazy. But it's like dark, like Cruel
So
Summer,
good.
but it's not like Karen Slaughter dark. Like it's just like twisty and like Cruel Summer-esque because you have, teens, and then you have like dual timeline. And
Yeah.
it's told through three perspectives. So the survivor of
Yes.
Blockbuster, the brother of the original suspect, who thinks
Mhm.
that like the police
Got it
have it like
wrong.
wrong. Yeah. And then the FBI agent who's like investigating both cases and trying to figure out how they're connected.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I didn't even catch this until I talked to him about the book, but that detective is like introed in Every Last Fear. And I didn't even catch it. He like said it as an off. He was like, and she's from blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah. And
I don't think I noticed
I
that
was like,
either.
whoa. Yeah. So also if you end up liking that one, Every Last Fear is really good too, but it's
Every
not
Last Fear
necessarily
is
Cruel
really good.
Summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every Last
I
Fear is
love
really
that.
good.
I would not have thought of The Night Shift. I love that one.
Ooh.
I have another one that's dual timelines. Um, and it is The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jewell.
Ooh, good one.
I still love this one so much. Like I
Mhm.
remember loving reading it. But in 2017, 19-year-old Tallulah is going out on a date and leaves her baby with her mom, Kim. So Kim watches her leave and basically she does not return. And so the next morning, Kim calls Tallulah's friends, who tell her that Tallulah was last seen heading to a party at a house in the nearby woods called Dark Place. She never returns. And then 2 years later, in 2019, Sophie is walking in the woods near the boarding school where her boyfriend has just started work as a head teacher when she sees a note fixed to a tree and it says, "Dig here." A cold case, an abandoned mansion, family trauma, and dark secrets lie at the heart of this novel. It's so good.
So good.
And like there are so many layers. And also there's
Mhm.
like a lot of, I mean, she does a lot of character development always. But like
Mhm.
I just remember caring so much about the characters in the same way that I
Yes.
did Local Women Missing, where I was like, oh, I care
Mhm.
about these people so much. So it's one of those.
I love that. Yeah. Lisa Jewell's a fucking crazy storyteller. I love her.
Yeah. That was also one that I put my sister-in-law asked if there were thrillers that she would like, meaning like not leaving you totally disappointed in the world at the end. Like at least some characters are good. So I've been trying to think of some, and this was actually one where I was like, I think you can enjoy this one and you wouldn't be like, it wouldn't have the same effect that the book she was mentioning did.
I think I Found You would be another good one for her too, maybe.
You're right. That would be really good for her.
I think anything other than the family duology.
Yeah, definitely not that.
Other than that, I think that you're good.
Yeah.
Watching You was pretty not too dark.
Yeah. I remember that one. I don't remember everything.
Mhm.
That was, yeah, there's like the principal, right?
Yes.
Okay, I was making sure I was in the right one.
Hmm. That one's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking
I'm
of
at
books
least a
that
Jules
you
fangirl.
should not recommend to your sister-in-law,
I know.
um, if you're listening, do not read this one. Um, but if you're looking for something like Cruel Summer and you don't mind a little dark,
Yeah.
open your ears. My next pick is my girl Stacey Willingham, A Flicker in the Dark. Did you pick that?
Yes. No,
I was
no,
nervous. I was nervous about that one.
no, that's a
Um,
really good one.
so the reason I like this one is because the parents are very involved in both seasons, which I like
Mhm,
because it's not in a way that you're used to with like a young adult show where like the parents are like getting in the way or like their nosiness is like annoying them. Like it's like
mhm,
very much like they're involved in different aspects depending on the parent. So
mhm.
with this
Yeah.
one, I was like, ooh, I really like this dual timeline kind of story where the parent is heavily involved and not in like
Mhm,
a cliche kind of way, similar to Cruel
mhm,
Summer. So A Flicker in the Dark is about Chloe Davis, who was just trying to live her best life in a small Louisiana town when she was 12 years old, and 6 teenage girls went missing. By the end of the summer, Chloe's father had been arrested as a serial killer and promptly put in prison. Chloe and the rest of her family were left to deal with the aftermath and try to move on. And then 20 years later, at 32, Chloe's a psychologist working in Baton Rouge and getting ready for her wedding. She finally has like somewhat of a normal resemblance of life. Um, but a local teenager goes missing, and then another, and
mm,
all of those like traumatic thoughts from that summer that she was 12 kind of start coming back to her. So she just decides to kind of look into things and see if there are any connections or if it's like a copycat or if her father maybe was not a serial killer or if it was aliens or you know that
it's
kind of thing.
a lightning bug in the dark.
Oh my god, I love that fucking cover.
That cover is so cool.
I think they
That's
did
a really
something
good one.
too. I think the lightning bugs were like white on the hardcover and then they were yellow in the
Okay.
paperback.
Huh.
Or maybe it's
I
the
don't know.
font. I'm not sure. There is a little bit of a difference, and I was like, ooh, I kind of dig how they did that.
Yeah.
So
She's great. She's
she is great.
also a very talented storyteller.
Mm-hmm. The
Couldn't
best.
remember what I was saying.
Story
It
maker.
happens. Yeah. Story writer.
Story. Story.
Well, another person who I also feel like is really good at telling stories
Mhm.
is Janelle Brown. And I feel like Pretty Things is very similar. Lots of like complicated relationships, but they're more like early 20s.
Mhm.
But like there's such large shifts multiple times in the book where you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So that part of Cruel Summer is very present in this one. It's a super long description, and I've kind of talked about it before. But basically a grifter and an heiress, like two girls, are brought together because one is trying to scam the other. And so Nina's the one trying to scam Vanessa. Vanessa is an heiress. Nina really thought that her fancy liberal arts degree was going to like lead to a really fulfilling career, and that did not end up happening. But Nina grew up with her mom, who was like the original con artist of her life. So she knows how to do that. So basically, trying to capitalize on the skills that she does have, she kind of books like kind of like a vacation at a place where that like Vanessa owns, but like rents out to like Airbnb type stuff.
Mhm.
And Vanessa is like kind of like an Instagram. She's an Instagram influencer, but like already had tons of money beforehand. So just posts like all this rich people shit. And
Poor little rich girl.
so Yep. So Nina's like, girl, I'm coming for you. And basically, she and her boyfriend go to stay there on the property, and Vanessa is there, and things get diabolical and messy, and it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. That's such a good book.
I
That's one I
loved
definitely
it.
like to read again. It's a chunker,
Me
but like
too.
it just goes by so
Yes.
quickly.
Yeah. It's 500 pages, but it's
Do
so
not be
good.
intimidated by that book. Because I
It
remember when I
does
got,
not feel like it.
yeah, I remember when I got a copy of it, I was like, oh my God, it's going to take me forever. And it like took me like
Yeah.
2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
So,
Whoa.
wow.
One of the top comments on Goodreads is about it being adapted as an Amazon series, but that was in
Oh,
2021. So who knows if that's changed?
well,
That would be
Luckiest Girl
fun.
Alive was announced to be adapted in 2015 and didn't come out until 2022.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's yeah.
sometimes
So,
things are worth the wait,
right. They are.
especially if it's Janelle Brown or Jessica Knoll,
Yes. The
two
Jays.
queens.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, my first pick was going to be, or like the first book that I thought of was going to be In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But like,
Consider that a
even if
given,
you
everyone.
even if you're not interested in that book, the plot summary is emblazoned in your brain because of this podcast. So I
Mm-hmm.
went with something else. I went with The Girls Are Also Nice Here by Lori
That was the
Elizabeth
one that I was
Flynn.
gonna say next.
Is it?
Yes, I have it pulled up. That was what I was
Okay,
gonna say next.
I have a backup.
I have 3 backups or honorable
Okay.
mentions, so
Okay.
we're
All
good.
right. We're
Yeah.
good.
But I've even picked that one for next. That's crazy.
That's crazy. It was
Mhm.
that was the one that I was like, I picked a backup for.
Mhm.
But I was like, I wonder if she picks it, if she'll just do that one early and be like, I beat you to it. Because you remember that one podcast we had like 3 or 4 in common.
Yes. We just
So
kept
I was
having the
like,
same.
I'll just do a few before I do this one. But
Yeah.
yeah, The Girls Are Also Nice Here. This is a long summary, so I apologize,
It's
but we
worth it.
love this book. A
Yes.
lot has changed in the years since Ambrosia Wellington graduated from college, and she's worked hard to create a new life for herself. But then an invitation to her 10-year reunion arrives in the mail, along with an anonymous note that reads, "We need to talk about what we did that night. Dot, 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 dot." So basically, it seems that the secrets from her past and the people she thought she left there aren't as buried as Ambrosia believed. She can't stop fixating on what she did or who she did in larger than life Sloane Sully Sullivan. I was like, please don't fuck
It's a
this up.
lot.
Yeah. So she's Ambrosia's former best friend who could make anyone do anything. She is like the it girl. So at the reunion, Ambrosia and Sloane receive increasingly menacing messages, and it becomes clear that they're being pursued by someone who wants more than just the truth of what happened. There's somebody who's basically looking for revenge for what they did and the damage they caused, the extent of which Ambrosia is only now fully understanding. And it was all because of the game they played to get a boy who belonged to someone else and the girl who paid the price.
Mm.
So again, alternate timelines, kind of that like morally gray character, because you're going
Yeah.
back and forth between like the reunion and the freshman year of college.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
just was like, damn, I remember reading that one and I just was like hooked on the very first page.
Yeah.
It's so
It's
good.
so good. It's
Mhm,
like the best nasty dark academia.
mhm, mhm.
Like
Yes.
just heartbreaking multiple times too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So
so good
that one
though.
is The Baby Genius
And the
of.
ending, oh, was so good. I like respected the ending so much.
Okay,
That's
so
all
this
I'll
is a
say.
book that I actually like love, 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 and will always recommend and be like, this is a 5 star. I remember
Nothing.
the plot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll have
I'll
to
tell you
reread it.
later what it was that I loved, what
Okay.
I love about it.
Yeah, I'll have to reread it
But
too.
I have one that revolves around teenage girls. As about this was one of my backups. Um, and it's definitely about like how our perceptions of each other or other people can be so wrong. And it is Everything You Want Me to Be by Mindy Mejia, about Hattie Hoffman, who has spent her whole life playing many parts: the good student, the good
Yeah.
daughter, the good girlfriend. But Hattie wants something more, something bigger, and ultimately something that turns out to be exceedingly dangerous. When she's found brutally stabbed to death, the tragedy rips right through the fabric of her small town community. It soon comes to light that Hattie was engaged in a highly compromising and potentially explosive secret online relationship. The question is, did anyone else know? And to what lengths might they have gone to end it? Hattie's boyfriend seems distraught over her death, but had he fallen so deeply in love with her that she had become an obsession? Or did Hattie's impulsive daredevil nature simply put her in the wrong place at the wrong time, leading her to a violent death at the hands of a stranger? And I just realized how perfect this one was while I was reading the summary. I was like, oh my goodness. I'm not going to say why, but this one's great for Cruel Summer, basically, is what I'm
It
saying.
is. I'm so glad you picked it, but I'm so pissed
Mhm.
off at myself for not picking it because like I
I
feel
thought you
like
might pick this one.
I don't know how I didn't. I don't know how I forgot, not
Yeah.
forgot. I it's one of my favorite books in the entire world, but I don't know how
Yeah.
I didn't pick it
Yeah.
because like that is probably out of all of the ones that we've talked about tonight, that's
Mhm.
probably the most perfect.
It is.
That's the one that's the closest to Cruel Summer and like the one that's like the most like start with this one. I don't give a shit what
Yeah.
goes on after that. Like that's the one that you need to start with. And I'm
If you
so
really
pissed at my
want a similar, like a very similar vibe.
I feel like that's the book that literally like we could have any subject and like that's the one that I would be like bending the rules to include. Like if you
Mhm.
were like, let's do serial killer thrillers, and I'll be like, this one by Mindy Mejia. But even though I'm not going to tell you if there is or isn't a serial killer,
Yeah.
but there may or may not be a serial killer.
Right.
And like just like bend
Exactly.
the rules. Or if you were like domestic suspense, I'd be like, she has parents.
It
Domestic suspense.
is. It
Like
is
it's
because it
just
is
so
also
good.
about like everyone's lives in the community.
I also love how the character of Hattie plays with the reader because
Mhm.
it's, I mean, in the synopsis, but it's kind of like that thing of how everybody is different around different people.
Mhm.
Like her boyfriend thinks one thing of her, her family thinks another thing, her friend thinks
Yeah.
another thing. There's other people that think like,
Yes.
so it's just so good. It's so
Yeah.
good.
Yep. I love anytime anyone plays with perception because it's also a humbling experience to remember that like we don't know everything we think we know.
Yeah, it's so good.
Mhm. Was
And if you
that
like
was
that
5,
one,
right?
hmm?
What?
Yeah, I have my last one.
Okay.
Um,
Nice.
so my last one is another book that I've never talked about, but
Nice.
the more I think about it, the more I'm like, this one is like number two, like second place for our recommendations.
Okay. That's funny
Um,
that we both did that at the end.
because I'm just like, wow, this book is actually like when I started watching Cruel Summer reminded me of something, and I'm having the light bulb moment
Mm.
that Cruel Summer was reminding me of this book.
Whoa, nice.
So the book is called All These Beautiful Strangers by Elizabeth Clayfoth, Klehfoth.
Okay.
Um, in the last day of summer, Grace Fairchild, the beautiful young wife of real estate mogul Alistair Calloway, vanished from her family's lake house without a trace, leaving behind her 7-year-old daughter, Charlie, and a slew of unanswered questions. Years later, 17-year-old Charlie still struggles with the dark legacy of her family name and the mystery surrounding her mother. Determined to finally let go of the past, she throws herself into a life at Knollwood, the prestigious New England school she attends. Charlie quickly becomes friends with Knollwood's it crowd, Charlie has also been tapped by the A's, the school's elite secret society, well known for terrorizing the faculty, administration, and their enemies. To become a member of the A's, Charlie must play the game, a semester-long, diabolical, high-stakes scavenger hunt that will jeopardize her friendships, her reputation, and even her place at the school. As the dark events from the past and present converge, Charlie begins to fear that she may not survive the terrible truth about her family, her school, and her own life.
I want to read this right now.
You will fucking love it.
I've
And
never
also,
seen this book cover.
the cover is
I've never seen
gorgeous.
this.
The cover is
The cover is amazing.
stunning. And the book is so good. I read it in one sitting. You will gobble it. You will gobble it up.
Yeah,
I guarantee it.
I'm just gonna stay up tonight.
I would love to revisit. Well, I'd love to revisit Mindy Mejia.
Yeah.
I'd love to revisit this book. And I'd also love to revisit The Girls Are Also Nice Here.
Yeah. I know. These are all so good.
So good. So
and
good.
It's kind of cool. It's a summer vibe as we go into summer.
Yeah.
Lined up well.
Summer vibe, dark academia, dual timeline, multiple mystery.
Yeah.
I love like a secret society. I love like
yeah.
I just love everything about it. It hits all the marks.
It does.
I have a bonus one.
Yeah, go for it.
Because this was one of the ones that I was like, I might pick this, but I was like, if I'm not gonna pick this because Kate's gonna pick it. And you didn't mention it. So I don't know if you're gonna be like, I don't know if you're gonna agree with me or not. And if you don't, then let me know. But I thought for sure one of the books that you were gonna talk about tonight was The Lucky One by Jessica Payne.
Oh no, that's a really good example.
Yeah, no, like the dual timeline.
I was getting them mixed up. I had to think of which one it was.
I thought you were gonna talk about that one because like that was like one of the ones I was like, ooh, that would be really good to talk about.
That is a really good one.
But yeah, so that's about a woman who survives a serial killer and they call her the lucky one. And then ... terror ensues.
Same thing. She goes back to town because her dad is sick. And murder starts happening again.
Murder, she wrote.
I had we've talked about it many times, but The Last Time I Lied, another little shout out to Riley
very
Sager.
good. Very
that
good.
One is very Cruel Summer vibes, but I think
that's a good one too.
Bookstagram even knows about that one, so that's why I was like, we'll even count that one technically as a bonus. But the other one that I kind of thought was You Can Trust Me by Wendy Hurd. It's not totally the same, but it's like summer vibes and about two girls' friendship.
Yeah.
So it's almost a bonus one, but it's also just really good.
One of my honorable mentions was The It Girl by Ruth Ware.
That's a really good one too.
But I kind of like, I was like, I knew I was going to make fun of myself tonight and be like, In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. But like, if you enjoy that and you also enjoy Cruel Summer, then you'll like The Girls Are Also Nice Here. So then I was like, I can't do a third recommendation of dark academia about like a death and two timelines. A friend group, a death, like, listen, is it one of my favorite tropes in a thriller? Absolutely. Like reading those three back to back would be fucking amazing.
Yes.
But like,
and then binge How to Get Away with Murder.
Yeah. And then like you would be like, okay, I'm sorry. Are we talking about Cruel Summer or are you just doing dark academia books that deal with like a friend that died 10 years ago or a secret that happened 10 years ago or like a college reunion?
Yes. The reunions. We love a reunion.
We love
it was making me think that I really need to fit If We Were Villains into my schedule because it's showing up on Book Talk again. And I'm like, damn it, I want to have an opinion.
I do too. I think if you do it, I want to do it with you. We have to do it together. It's kind of like I need you to like coddle me and hold my hand during this experience.
Yes.
Because I'm very intimidated by the Shakespearean
Right.
obsessed cast.
I know,
I
same.
don't want them to be pretentious, annoying, try too hard to be unique and cool.
Yeah.
Like if there's a man with like is it an ascot? The little scarf that goes
I
around
think
your
so.
neck.
But like
If there's one of those, if there's a pencil mustache, if there's a
the
vest
casting
over
director has spoken.
if there's a vest over a t-shirt or a shirt with jeans, I'm gone.
Oh my gosh.
If
This is
there's
so
like
here's what
those
we
like long fancy French cigarettes, I'm out. If they only drink like cognac,
Oh my
I'm
god.
donezo.
If they burst into song, I'm completely done.
If one of them has hair like Alice from the first Twilight movie, I'm gone.
But it's a man. It's a
Oh
boy.
my god, that's even worse. Oh god. If the teacher's French
Oh my gosh, and hot.
or like creepy,
Yeah. Well, what we should do is
if
hey,
there's
hold
one
on.
single teacup, I just
Yes.
I go on and on.
Also, like whenever I decide to, I'll tell you. Hold on, Harley Bear baby. She's whining at me. I will start reading it because you read faster than me right now just because of what life and whatever. Anyway, I'll start reading it, then I'll be able to get the vibe check enough. And
Right.
then if it's good, I'll be like, start reading it if you want to, and then you'll catch up with me anyway.
Yeah.
So we could do that.
Okay.
But also there's like so many to read, but I want to have an opinion on it.
I do too. I really want to have an
Mhm.
opinion on it.
Yeah.
I think the thing is too is like I've had this conversation with other people where I'm like, I don't want to read about Shakespeare again. And people are
Mhm.
like, they've either said the same thing about when Carrie Soto, where they've been
Oh,
like
yes. Yeah.
the Shakespearean aspect might drive you nuts or you don't
Right.
notice. And it's the same thing with like what people
Yeah,
say
that
about
makes
Carrie
sense.
Soto with like the tennis.
Uh-huh.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I didn't know if I would like it. And Carrie Soto, that's also why I don't recommend it necessarily to like I'm not like telling you you have to read it.
Right.
But I ended up enjoying it
Yeah.
just for all
Well,
kinds of
that's the
other
thing. Some people
reasons.
are like, there was too much tennis. It distracted me from the
Yeah.
story. And then there were other people that were like, it is a lot of tennis, but it didn't distract me at all from the story.
Yeah. It was like
So,
everything was so much about her emotions, even when she was playing, I think that's what made it work for me.
yeah.
So yeah, but it's not like Cruel Summer. So
No,
don't even
no.
consider it.
Maybe our next episode will be books to read if you love if we were villains.
Oh my gosh, I know. So that we just read it this week and get our
Yeah.
opinion.
And we both like love it and are obsessed. So,
We're like, what were we thinking? It'll
yeah.
be like me with Ninth House, where I'm like, I don't know. And then I'm like, this book
Oh
changed
my
my
God.
life.
This is my personality from now
Why
on.
don't more people write this specific subgenre?
Oh my God.
I'd
I
be like, I
know.
need Shakespeare in all my thrillers.
I just want Shakespeare obsessed people in college who may not have murdered someone.
Oh my gosh, that'll be funny.
Yeah. Well, tune in next week to find out.